Suppose one of those countries had this done to one of their missions. What do you think they'd be saying? So I think somewhere it's time that we are clear about who we are and the stand that we take. And if these things happen, there will be consequences.
So when you bring up these conversations with your counterparts, where these missions have been attacked, do they get it? Do they understand the seriousness of what's happening and what it means to India?
I would hope so.
Okay.
I would hope so. I think by and large, you will not disagree. I do communicate fairly clearly.
We'll give you that much.
And I think so do our ambassadors and my colleagues in the foreign ministry. I think we've been very, very straight with the few countries where these incidents have happened. I don't think they have any doubt about where we stand on this matter.
All right. You say so. Ambassadors are very clear where we stand on these issues. One of the incoming ambassadors, a good friend of yours, Mr. Garcetti, in his Senate confirmation hearing, apparently said that human rights was his major in college and he intends that to be very much part of the conversations when he lands in India. और आपने कहा कि उनको प्यार से समझा देंगे. प्यार से समझाएंगे इस मंच को कि क्या बोलेंगे आप उनको?
No, I think he should, it's in our profession, our best done between us. So we will leave it at that.
Okay.
But I 100% प्यार से होगा.
प्यार से बुलाएंगे. So let me, talking about प्यार से समझाएंगे, I want to come back to the Rahul Gandhi question because, you've interacted with him in whatever limited fashion because, you briefed the Parliamentary Committee on External Affairs. He's a member. And he had recently said in England, while he was in England, that he drew this analogy between Ukraine and Ukraine and Arunachal. And he also said that I said this to the minister, and the minister said it's a ludicrous idea. Your comments on that, did that happen? And
the minister said what?
That it was a ludicrous idea.
Ludicrous. Okay.
Ludicrous idea.
Okay.
And also I want your general impressions of him because you've interacted with him, you briefed the members.
Look, we are not by etiquette and I guess by rules supposed to discuss in public what happened in a consultative committee meeting. So if he referred to it, in my view, he should not have. I certainly will not talk about what happened in a consultative committee meeting. But let's look at the substance of the issue, because he has said that on public record. Forget about the fact that there was a consultative committee meeting for a moment. The comparison is between what China did vis-a-vis India in 2020 and what is happening today in Ukraine. Okay. What is today happening in Ukraine, if you follow the two sides, one would say that they are threatened by the expansion of NATO and the character of the regime in Ukraine. And the other one would, the Western countries would say the Russians have ambitions, expansionist designs, whatever it is. What is the analogy between that and India-China? I mean, what happened in the border, which, by the way, is, in my view, completely indefensible. So don't get me wrong there. That has nothing to do, there's no NATO in play here. There's no regime character in play here. So I just don't see the comparison.
So tell me, since you mentioned China, where are we on this, the border confrontation that happened? I mean, I believe out of the 7 odd points, 5, there has been disengagement, 2, there is still no disengagement. Just a broad understanding that, do you believe this has gone beyond the remit of army commanders? This has to be a political sort of dialogue and eventually moving to resolve the situation?
Look, first you have to understand what is the nature of the problem. The nature of the problem is that two militaries who generally were not 24/7 deployed at or on or very close to the LAC, have done so to a great degree after May of 2020. Because pre-May of 2020, both militaries were primarily located in the depth areas where they had permanent bases, and then they would patrol out into the LAC. Now, in 2020, the Chinese breached that in violation of the 93-96 agreements, brought forces to the LAC. Obviously, we countered it. They stayed there, we stayed there. So as a result, you have a very, very intricate situation of very multiple close-up deployments, which by common sense sort of military assessment is a very dangerous situation to be. And that danger, of course, was, we had cautioned them. And then, of course, Galwan happened, which only was proof that, you know, how volatile the situation could be. Now, in this, we have, you know, I met my counterpart in September 2020. He accepted that this was a dangerous situation. And since then, we've been trying to pull back the close-up deployments, not close-up deployments, the close-up forward deployments. But it can only be done if there is a mutual agreement. Because in the past, there